Hello, very good evening to all my dear students of class 10, ICSE class 10. And today we'll be discussing this poem by Henry Wordsworth Longfellow, Haunted Houses. Now, as easy as it sounds, this poem is a little typical. That is why many students they face a problem in understanding, but I'll try to make it simpler for you by providing explanation to each and every line and also by telling you the background, some background information, and also what are the possible themes of this poem. Now, in the very first place, when we start along with the title Haunted Houses, I will not take much of your time because I know that we are getting closer to the examination date now. So you will not have much of a time to ponder about the explanation and watching all the videos. But I'll without taking much of your time, I'll try to simplify it in the best way possible in a brief way. Okay. So when we look at the title Haunted Houses, we can see now I will also be simultaneously telling you about the figures of speeches used wherever we witness them, wherever we encounter them. So here in the title itself, in the Haunted Houses, we can see a very prominent figure of speech which is present over here, which is alliteration. I hope that you all know what is alliteration, the repetition of consonant sound. So H, that sound is getting repeated. That is why in the title itself, you can, just keep making notes in your books or wherever you feel comfortable. Haunted houses, in the title itself, it has got alliteration, right? Now, what is the main theme of the poem? It talks about the harmlessness of ghosts, right? Now, what is the common notion or the common perception associated with ghosts and supernatural powers? That in most of the cases, they are considered to be harmful, okay? Or they are considered to be something that causes harm to humanity, or that causes people to get scared. Okay, but here, as you read the description of the poem, you will feel that we do not have any reason to feel scared of them, especially when they are, when these spirits, when these ghosts belong to somebody who we love from the bottom of our heart, people who we never want to get separated with. So, this is the main idea of the poem, where the poet says that people who are very closely associated to our heart, or people who are very, very, who we share a very common, very close bond with, these people, they never leave us. Okay, so they are always there in the house in the form of spirits, phantoms. But what kind of phantoms? They have been considered, they have been called as harmless phantoms. Okay, now let's just dive into the explanation of it line by line. All houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. We talk about the first stanza. All houses wherein men have lived and died. So it's a universal approach which the poem has. Now, yes, before we go into the explanation, I would also like to talk about the narrator of the poem. Who was the narrator? Now, many students they ask me that, ma'am, who is the narrator? Is the poet himself the narrator of the poem? No, the poet directly himself is not the narrator of the poem, but the poet has given his voice to another speaker who probably is a ghost himself. Okay, so here the speaker is a person, okay, who the poet has given his voice to, and this speaker over here is probably a ghost himself, because there are so many reasons. We will try to point out the reasons as we dive into the explanation of the poem deeper and deeper. Okay, so first stanza: all houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. So like I told you, it has a universal approach. All houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. That means there are phantoms over there. There are ghosts over there of all the loved and the dear ones. Through the open doors, the harmless phantoms. Now, where can they be found? Okay, so all their locations have been disclosed to you here in this portion. Through the open doors, the harmless phantoms. Now, you must be acquainted of one more figure of speech which is called as oxymoron, when two opposite words are used together. Okay, for example, clearly misunderstood. Okay, clear and misunderstood. Again, oxymoron. Living dead. Okay, oxymoron. Here also in the first stanza, there's this one oxymoron which has been used: harmless phantoms. Okay, phantoms means ghosts, and ghosts are considered to be by nature harmful in nature. But here the poet is calling them harmless. So, harmless phantoms, that definitely compiles to become an oxymoron. On their errands glide. Errands means tasks, okay? So they have their own tasks, little tasks, right? And they glide through the house. Now, obviously, they don't walk, but phantoms, how do we imagine phantoms and ghosts to be? That they glide through the air, that they are invisible and they're very light and airy, okay, in their physicality, right? So errands means tasks, they glide. with feet that make no sound upon the floors. Okay, so they've got feet, obviously, but their feet do not make any sound upon the floors, which clearly is an indication that when they walk, right, you don't come to know about their presence. You will never be able to hear their footsteps on the ground because they're invisible, and obviously, the sound of footstep cannot be heard, it is inaudible. Right. So in the first stanza, the poet has established their presence in your house, okay, that they are there, but they are harmless, right? And where can they be found? They can be found through the open doors, the errands means they have their own tasks and they glide through the air, and with feet also that, when they walk on the floor, they do not make any particular sound, right? Now we move on towards the second stanza. We meet them at the doorway on the stair. Now, again, the location has been further described that you can also meet them at the doorway. Okay, for in the first stanza, it was told to you that they glide through the door, right? And now it has been told to you that you can find them at the doorway, on the stair, okay, also along the staircase of your house, along the passages they come and go, along the various passages of your house they come and go, but you're hardly able to notice or feel their presence around you. Impalpable impressions on the air. Impalpable, now this is also an oxymoron. Impalpable means something that of which you don't get an impression. Okay, impression means to leave a mark, right? For example, just imagine a stamp, right? So when you put that stamp on a piece of paper, you create an impression of that stamp. So it is palpable. Okay, you are able to create impression. Impalpable, where you are not able to create an impression. Just imagine, you must have seen it in the horror movies also, that there is a ghost and there is a human being, and when that human being is walking or is passing by the ghost, he or she simply walks through, okay, or passes through, right, without leaving any impression, without affecting the ghost in any way, without shoving or without pushing the ghost. Are you getting my point? So that is why impalpable. Impalpable means without leaving any impression, and impression means leaving impression, right? So two opposite words again used together, that again makes your oxymoron on the air, a sense of something moving to and fro. So they are just a sense of something moving to and fro, in and out of the house, right? Now we move on towards the third stanza. There are more guests at table than the hosts, right? Now in the first two stanzas, the poet confirms their presence in your house, establishes their existence and their identity in your house. And in the third stanza, he is strengthening that existence and strengthening that point by saying that they are very much present in the house, but they are invisible, right? You cannot see, you might as well be able to feel their presence, but you cannot see them. Okay, and how does he establish, how does he strengthen that idea? By saying that when at dinner table everybody gathers and everybody, assembles together for maybe dinner or maybe for lunch, so there are more guests at the table than the hosts. Okay, why are there more guests? Because the hosts are also present over there, invited, right? The more than the guests and the hosts taken together, there are more number of individuals present over there, more number of individuals that you can see. Why? Because the hosts are also there who you cannot see. The illuminated hall, illuminated means brightly lit hall. So just imagine a dining area which is completely brightly lit, and there are so many people thronging and crowding and assembling together, and they have gathered for having their meal. Okay, but there are more number of guests than are actually invited because of the hosts who are present over there, as silent as the pictures on the wall. There's another figure of speech which has been used over here, simile. Okay, so let me just repeat what is a simile for you. That simile is any kind of comparison which is done by using like or as. Okay, so here as you can see that the comparison has been done using as. The ghosts have been compared to the pictures on the wall. Okay, with what attribute? That they are as silent and as immovable as the pictures on the wall, right? So that is that one comparison which has been done between the ghost and the pictures on the wall. Now we move on towards the fourth stanza. The stranger at my fireside cannot see. Now, as I told you at the beginning of the explanation, that who is the narrator of the poem? The narrator of the poem is probably a ghost himself, and the poet has given his voice. Okay, so now this ghost was also sitting over there, and now this ghost says that there was a stranger who was a human being who was sitting at my fireside. So probably this human being cannot see me, but this ghost can see everybody. Okay, fireside cannot see the forms I see. So he says that this person sitting by my side, he cannot see the rest of the things and the forms that I can see. Okay, nor hear the sounds I hear. Okay, so this ghost, it says that this particular person, it can neither see nor hear the forms that I can hear. He but perceives what is. He can only see or hear what is physically present in the room, right? But the ghost can, but ghost is a supernatural entity. The ghost can see and hear even the things which are not present in the room. Okay, while unto me all that has been is visible and clear. The ghost says that what is the difference between me and this stranger? This stranger can neither see nor hear all the things that I can perceive. Okay. And here in the last line, the ghost says, while unto me, what about me? All that has been visible, all that has been is visible and clear. Everything that is there, even the things which are not there, okay, I can see and I can hear. Okay. Its senses are perceptible to all forms of energy. Okay. And powers, right? The next stanza, we have no title deeds to house or lands. Now, in this stanza, the poet is trying to establish a relationship between these hosts and their houses, that they're extremely possessive about their land, they're extremely possessive about their family, they're extremely possessive about their property. Okay, so we have no title deeds to house or lands. Title deeds means possession. Now they are dead. Now they no longer have possession legally. Okay, logically, practically, they no longer have the possession to houses or lands. Owners and occupants of earlier dates, they were the owners and occupants of earlier dates, of the past dates, not at the present. Okay, because presently they are dead, right? From graves forgotten stretch their dusty hands, but wherever they feel that they have been forgotten, wherever they feel that their existence is in danger, is in a very precarious situation, wherever they feel that their houses or lands, the ownership of that house or land is in danger, and they might as well be forgotten, they stretch their dusty hands from the grave. Now, this is a very spooky image which the poet has painted over here, that the dead and the buried ones, they stretch their hand, dusty hands. Why is the hand dusty? Because it is coming out of the grave. So just imagine, kind of, I don't intend to scare you, but this is what the poet has written, that they stretch their dusty hands from out of the grave and hold in Mothman still their old estates. Okay, so Mothman means all the possessions which is inalienable to them. Okay, something that they had a possession of, they had ownership of, they had occupancy of, but just because they feel that they might as well be forgotten after their death, so they stretched their dusty hand and tried to grab the possession again. Okay, so which clearly shows that how possessive they are towards their house or towards their land or towards their family. They're extremely possessive of them. Okay, then next, the spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere. Again, like, you can see very well. So anywhere where the comparison has been made using like or as, you get it very clear in your mind that it is a simile which has been used, the figure of speech, the poetic device. The spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere. So just like, we are surrounded by an invisible atmosphere, right? So we have various gases and various, all sorts of mixtures and concoctions surrounding us, okay, in the form of gas, air, right? Similarly, he says that we are being constantly surrounded by all these ghastly creatures as well. What is the similarity? Just like the atmosphere around us is invisible, just like the atmosphere around us is present, we can't see it, but we can only feel it. Okay, similarly, these ghosts also, they float around us like the atmosphere. Okay, so the ghosts have been compared to the atmosphere which surround us using like. So what is that? That is a simile. And everywhere, wafts means smoothly glide around us. Okay, so just imagine like a small ghost, right? or a small something, like you must have seen balloons which float in the air. So when you leave the balloon, it goes up in the air. Okay. So wafting means gliding through the air effortlessly, wafting through these earthly mists and vapors dense. They waft around us, they float around us, through the earthly mists and vapors dense. Okay. A vital breath of more ethereal air. Ethereal means something that seems to be belonging to the other world. Okay. Something that is out of this world. Obviously, like I told you, that ghosts are supernatural creatures. They don't belong to the earthly world. They don't belong to the mortal world. Anything that does not belong to the mortal world can be titled and labeled as supernatural or ethereal in nature, out of this world, right? It's a vital breath. Vital means important, crucial, right? Breath of more ethereal air. There's something else, something that we cannot see, something that we cannot hear. We can only feel the presence, okay? Our little lives are kept in equipoise by opposite attractions and desires. Now, here, the poet goes a little off track by saying that how this little life is balanced. Okay, how is this life balanced? Because we have the attractions and we have the desires as well. Now, by attractions, he means to say that all the distractions possibly, like we do want to, like, we should all have that one goal, one major goal in our lives. We should have that purpose. You must have heard many motivational speakers also talking about it. What is your purpose of life? What do you intend to become? Where do you intend to reach? Okay. So, what is that one purpose for which you have to constantly work, for which you have to constantly grow, for which you have to constantly move forward? Okay. And be completely focused, right? So that is your desire, that is what you want to become, your aspirations of life. छोटे में अभी भी पूछते होंगे टीचर्स आपसे that okay, what is your aspiration, what do you dream to become in your life? And for that you definitely will have to work. But then at the same point of time, we also need to hang out with our friends, we also need to party around, we also need to travel, we also need to relax ourselves. That is also crucial. Okay. If we constantly all work and no play, makes Jack a dull boy. Okay, so when you just work and no play, you tend to become dull. So how can you balance it out? By working towards your goals and aspirations as well, but at the same point of time you also have to relax. Okay, you also have to let it go, like for a little amount of time, right? So that is how we are able to create that balance between which two things? Attractions and desires. Desires here means the aspirations of life, the struggle of the instinct that enjoys and the more noble instinct that aspires. What is the struggle with? The struggle is actually between the instinct that wants to enjoy, like I told you, the instinct that wants to go out, that wants to hang out with friends and have a nice fun time. Okay. And a more noble instinct that wants to aspire also, right? So you have to strike a balance between both these perturbations, this perpetual jar of earthly wants and aspirations high. Now, this constant struggle between our between the attractions and between the aspirations, attractions and aspirations, this constant struggle sometimes disturbs our mind. Okay, sometimes it leads to a lot of mental disturbances as well. Perturbations means what? Perturbations means disturbances of mind, when the mind is not balanced, when the mind is not equipoised. Okay, so these perturbations, this perpetual jar means the soul. Okay, the soul which has everything, right? The soul which has the body also, of earthly wants and aspirations high. And this soul contains what? It contains both these things: earthly wants, okay, whatever we want in our lives, the desires, the attractions, the distractions, whatever you may want to call it as, and the aspirations high, that we have high aspirations and high dreams. There's a constant struggle between them, come from the influence of an unseen star, an undiscovered planet in our sky. So here the poet says that the soul is controlled by an unseen star in the sky. By this unseen star, he wants to say that there's an unseen planet which controls everything. By giving you this line, the poet is also trying to establish a connection between the immortal world, the immortal realm, or the supernatural realm, and the mortal world and the natural world. Okay, like yours is the natural world, but here the poet says that our world, our destiny, our fate is sometimes controlled by an unseen star in the sky, by an unseen planet, by the movement of the planet, maybe, or by the direction of the planet, maybe. Okay, you must have heard astrologists talking about it, that how this planet is not aligned properly right now. So that is why you're facing difficult times in your life. Okay, so this is what the poet says, that, he's, like I told you, he's trying to establish that connection between the mortal realm and the immortal realm, between the natural realm and the supernatural realm. That how there's this connection, that our life and our fate is being controlled by that unseen star and the unseen planet in the sky. Right? Then next, and as the moon from some dark gate of cloud throws over the sea a floating bridge of light. Now he is trying to take this connection forward, okay, by saying, by which connection am I talking about? The connection between the natural world and the supernatural world, right? Notice, ये unnatural नहीं बोल रही हूँ मैं, I'm saying supernatural world, right? The connection which the poet is trying to establish between the mortal realm and the immortal realm. And so he says that the moon, from some dark gate of cloud, the moon has been personified over here. Moon from some dark gate of cloud. Clouds are dark in appearance. So moon tries to peep through the clouds, and after peeping through the clouds, ये peeping वाला action भी personification है, okay? So this peeping, this through some dark gate of cloud, it throws over the sea floating bridge of light. So the moonbeams, जो moon rays which are coming from the moon, it is descending upon the sea. Okay, so this sea is the mortal world, and the moon is the supernatural world, the spiritual world. Okay, between the human world and the supernatural, so the spiritual world. Okay, so here the poet says that the moon throws its beams on the sea. The beam here means the moon rays. Okay, kaise, you must have seen that the moon rays, they fall upon the sea, right? Now this moon ray has been compared to a bridge. Okay, now bridge का क्या काम क्या होता है? What is the work of a bridge? To connect one place to another, okay, to be that connection between two places. So this is what that moonbeam is doing. The poet is trying to establish the connection between the human world and the spiritual world by saying that the moon throws its beam, the moon throws its rays down on the sea, and this moon ray, this moonbeam has been compared to a bridge, okay, a bridge of light. And by that bridge of light, the poet wants to signify that it is like a connection between the human world and the spiritual world, across whose trembling planks our fancies crowd into the realm of mystery and night. Now, this trembling plank, अब ये moonbeam कैसा है? What is the nature? It is shaking continuously. It is trembling continuously. It does not come down straight, but it is a little wavy and shaky and trembling in nature. Okay, and they fall upon the human beings as well. So through this bridge, our fancies, our thoughts, they climb and they move towards the spiritual world. Okay, and then they come back to us in the form of dreams, right? In the form of thoughts, in the form of you can say our opinions, okay, our philosophies. And these are the things that guide us throughout the day in our actions. Okay, these two things are different: what goes in the mind and how do we execute, okay, all these plans are made in the mind, but how we execute it is our action. So the poet says that across these trembling planks, like I told you initially, कि bridge क्या करता है? Connecting, okay, and you can walk across the bridge, you can go from one point to another, and you can also come back, right? So the poet says that through this bridge, our fancies, our thoughts, they crowd, okay, they move towards the spiritual realm and into the realm of mystery and night, and then they come back to us in the form of dreams, in the form of imaginations, in the form of thoughts that guide our actions throughout the day. Okay, so I hope that I'm making some sense over here. The last stanza. So from the world of spirits there descends a bridge of light. This is what I was talking about. The moon has been compared to the world of spirits, right? That moon is symbolic of the world of spirits. और वहां से क्या आ रहा है? एक beam of light, a ray of light, okay? And this ray of light is a bridge of light, okay? A bridge which is connecting the human world to the spiritual world, a bridge of light connecting it with this over whose unsteady floor. This is like a connection, okay? Connection between which two worlds? I've repeated so many times. Let us repeat it once again. The connection between the human world and the spiritual world. Hamara human world is the sea, okay, where the light is falling, right? And the spiritual world is represented by the moon, okay? And bridge क्या हो गया? वो moon से जो light आ रहा है, that is the bridge. That is a connecting factor. Over whose unsteady floor? I told you why is the floor unsteady? Because it is trembling continuously, because it is shaking continuously, because it is tremulous in nature, okay? That sways and bends. And how is this floor? It is swaying and bending. It is not coming out like in a constant way. Wander our thoughts above the dark abyss, okay? And through this connecting light, our thoughts wander through the dark abyss. Abyss means like, an unfathomable hole, right? Or something, something that cannot be measured, something that cannot be fathomed, something that cannot be found, right? Above the dark abyss. Which is this dark abyss? This dark abyss is the spiritual world, right? So here in the last two stanzas, what has the poet done? The poet has tried to establish a connection between the spiritual world and what is the representative of the spiritual world, the moon, okay, and between the human world, human world, jahan par human beings, earthly world, right? And what is the connecting factor? The moon ray which is coming, the beam of light which is coming, which has been compared to a bridge, right? And through this bridge, what happens is our thoughts, they do crowd. It goes to the realm of mystery and night, to the area, to the region of mystery and night, and comes back to us in the form of dreams, in the forms of imagination, in the forms of thoughts, right? And that is what guides our actions throughout the day. Okay, so this was the complete explanation of the poem. Now you can definitely divide this poem. I will tell you how to study it, but before going into that, I would just like to discuss all the figures of speeches once again. Like I told you in the very first, the title of the poem itself, that there's this alliteration present over here. All houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. Through the open doors, the harmless phantom. I told you harmless phantom is oxymoron. On their errands glide with feet that make no sound upon the floors. We meet them at the doorway, on the stair, along the passage they come and go. Impalpable impressions. It's again an oxymoron. Okay, some students might as well argue that ma'am ye alliteration भी तो है, alliteration नहीं है, because that is a repetition of a vowel sound, okay, and not a consonant sound, right? On the air, a sense of something to and fro. Sense of something can be alliteration. You can see the repetition of the sound S, okay? There are more guests at table than the host. Invited, the illuminated hall. Invited, the illuminated hall again is alliteration. Is thronged with quite inoffensive ghosts, okay? Inoffensive ghosts can also be considered as an oxymoron. Inoffensive means harmless in nature, जो आपको harm नहीं कर सकते, and ghosts, right? So that is also an oxymoron. As silent as the pictures on the wall. Very clearly, I told you that this is a simile, that the ghosts have been compared to the pictures on the wall because they are also as silent as them. Any comparison using like or as is a simile. The stranger at my fireside cannot see the forms I see, nor hear the sounds I hear. He but perceives what is, while unto me all that has been visible and clear. We have no title deeds to house or lands, owners and occupants. Alliteration nahi hai because it is a vowel sound, okay? O hai, right? Of earlier dates, from graves forgotten, stretched their dusty hands and held in mothman still their old estates. Okay, the spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere, like an atmosphere. The spirit world has been compared to the atmosphere that surrounds us using like, to ye kya ho gaya, simile, and everywhere wafts through these earthly mists and vapors dense a vital breath of more ethereal air. Our little lives are kept in equipoise by opposite attractions and desires, the struggle of the instinct that enjoys and the more noble instinct that aspires. What is the poet saying in the stanza? That we have to strike a balance between the what attractions and the aspirations, okay? Attractions here refers to your instinct that wants to enjoy life, and aspirations here refers to your nobler instinct which wants to achieve the dreams and aspirations of life, right? Okay, this is a metaphor. This perpetual jar is like a container And यहाँ पर this jar has been compared to the human soul using a metaphor. यहाँ पर कोई like नहीं है, कोई as नहीं है, direct comparison है, so that with any comparison without like or as is a metaphor of earthly wants and aspirations high come from the influence of an unseen star and undiscovered planet in our sky. And as the moon from some dark gate of cloud throws over the sea, I told you that the moon has been personified. These are all the important figures of speeches which you have to bear in your mind before you appear for the examination. They might as well come. Okay, so moon has been personified. That moon is throwing a bridge of light. So वो throwing wala action, it compares moon to a human being. So that is why it is personification. Across those whose trembling planks our fancies crowd into the realm of mystery and night. So from the world of spirits there descends a bridge of light connecting it with us, with this. Okay. Again, the bridge, the light beam, the moonbeam has been compared to a bridge of light. That is a metaphor, okay, without using like or as. Any comparison without using like or as is a metaphor. Connecting it with this, over whose unsteady floor that sways and bends, wander our thoughts above the dark abyss. Okay, so again, what is happening in the last stanza, that the poet is successfully establishing a connection between the spiritual world and the human world, between the moon and the sea. And connection kya hai? What is the connecting factor? That bridge. And what is this bridge? The moonbeam which is falling down. And what is the nature of the moonbeam? It is trembling, it is swaying, it is bending, it is shaking. And through this bridge, what is happening is our thoughts, they are crowding, okay? That it is floating up the spiritual world and is coming back to our mind in the form of, I told you, dreams, imaginations, and thoughts, which is guiding our actions throughout the day. Okay. So, before I wrap up this explanation, what is the poet doing in the first two, three stanzas? Just establishing the existence of ghosts at your house. Nature of ghost भी बता रहा है कि वो harmless हैं. Okay. Although your house is haunted house, but it is having ghosts which are completely harmless in nature. Okay, and they just do their task, the errands glide, their feet does not make any sound, वो doorway में दिखते हैं, stairs में होते हैं, passages में होते हैं, impalpable impressions on the air, a sense of something moving to and fro. Then again, the guests are tabled and the hosts, okay, there are more number of guests which are invited because the hosts are also present over there. Inoffensive है, आपको कोई harm नहीं करेंगे, but they will be present over there and they are as silent as the pictures on the wall. Then who is the narrator? The narrator is probably another ghost, and the poet has given his voice to this ghost, saying that, and this ghost is comparing himself to another stranger who is sitting over there. This stranger is a human being, and he says that this particular stranger can neither see nor hear whatever I can perceive. जो मुझे दिखाई देता है, जो मुझे सुनाई देता है, वो इसको सुनाई नहीं देता है, because he, the speaker, is a ghost himself. Okay, so the speaker, the ghost can see the other ghosts present, right? But इस stranger को नहीं दिखाई देता है because he's a human being. Okay, then about how possessive they are, that whenever they feel that their descendants might as well forget them, that their future generation, the progeny, might forget them, they will stretch their dusty hands and will try to establish their possession again. Okay, then spirit world has been compared to the atmosphere using like, so that is a simile, right? And then the balance between the attractions and the aspirations of life, and the comparison of human soul to a jar. Okay, this jar which is sometimes disturbed, mentally disturbed. Okay, why mentally disturbed? Because sometimes we are not able to strike the balance between our attractions and aspirations. Might be having with my This might be the case with some of you right now. Some of you might be feeling very trapped कि अब तो पढ़ना पड़ रहा है, क्यों पढ़ना पड़ रहा है इतना, we have to study continuously. Okay, but you have no other option right now. You will have to focus for the next, like 1.5 months, because your board results would depend on that. Okay, so all you globetrotters and all you people who are very fond of traveling or hanging out with your friends, you will have to do a little bit of sacrifice over here and have to focus, strike the balance. Okay, so this is what the poet is saying. And as the moon from some dark gate of cloud, moon has been personified. And वो bridge वाला तो मैंने बहुत बार समझा दिया अभी, so I'm not getting into it again. Okay, so I hope that I've been able to explain myself clearly, right? And in the next video, I will definitely try to take up another very important poem, which is I think, considerable spec that people were having a problem in. Okay, so I'll try to take that in the next video. And if you have any problem in this one, you can let me know in the comment section, or you can get back to the students who are having my contact. You can get back to me through WhatsApp as well. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.